Welcome to Reverent and Rebellious, a safe space for faith-based conversations on the things that nobody seems to want to talk about these days. We are reverent, we value truth, we elevate scripture, but we are also rebellious. We shatter myths and we destroy dogma, so jump in. Join us, Logan, Pat, and me, the brother Peter, as we get reverent and we get rebellious.
Good evening, everybody.
What's going on? Good evening. How's everybody doing today? You ready for another rip-roaring round of Reverent and Rebellious?
I'm ready. About as ready as I'm going to be.
I was born ready. Hey, actually, it's pretty good. We did not get the violent storm as bad as it was going to be. Like you said, it got a little rougher your way.
A little bit, but not so you'd really notice.
Yeah.
Just enough to where the dogs had to stay inside.
Man,
Yeah.
About it.
there was a terrible storm at my house. About 5:30 this morning, the alarm went off.
Yeah, and you had to get out of bed. That was the storm.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was horrible.
Yeah, that's a bad storm.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
When did you get home?
About 8:30.
Last night?
Yeah. No, this morning. I had to get up at 5:30 this morning and then come back from the VA about 8:30.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's not a good day.
That's not a good day.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
it was horrible.
Yeah.
I don't see how you people do it.
I'm sleepy.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Hey, Pat.
Yep.
Knock, knock.
Who's there? Who?
Werewolves of London.
Okay, thank you.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I love that song.
Good job. You took advantage of my sleepiness.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I knew that
Who?
you'd fall into that one.
Oh,
Line and
man.
sinker.
Hey, well, y'all need to ahoo for us. I couldn't think of how to leave us. Look, I'm gonna borderline turn into a werewolf if we don't start getting some of you to leave some dadgum ratings and reviews. We are at I'm telling y'all right now, we're at 29 on Apple, and they're 5 stars. I'm pretty sure all 5
they
stars.
are.
That is
Yeah.
great.
That's
That is awesome.
We need
and
29 more.
We
at
need
least.
29 more. Come on, we got to at least get to 50.
Yeah,
like
we got to start making a little bit of racket
Hey,
out there.
we had one comment this week. Our gold star listener is Miss K, and she said, "I am definitely a pan-millennialist."
okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Man.
just gonna hang out and wait for it to pan out.
Yep, we just wait for it to pan out.
That's it.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Miss K, you're our gold star listener this week.
That's
You
it.
are the
That's it.
MVP.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, guys, do leave us a comment. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the little bell so you know when the episodes drop. But we really do ask that you would leave ratings and reviews. And hey, I'm gonna give a shout out to our buddy Jonathan, because
Yes.
he was really pushing the show this weekend. He was telling people about it. I watched him tell 3 different people about the podcast. And so
And they all subscribed.
they
So,
literally all pulled their phones out and subscribed.
welcome to y'all.
Yep. Yeah.
wherever you
If
are.
our new listeners are here,
Yeah.
we're glad to have you.
Yeah. Let us know that you're here. Give us a thumbs up or something like that.
Yep.
That'd
So
be good.
what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we're talking about, honestly, this is probably my top 3 favorite chapters of Revelation.
All right. Okay.
I like this chapter a lot. This is Revelation chapter 14.
All right,
Pat, do you remember where we left off?
13.
Yeah, we sure did. Yes. Yeah. 13 was, the mark of the beast, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we talked about the beast from the sea. We talked about the beast coming up out of the earth.
And the mark of the beast.
And we spent a lot of time arguing over who it was actually standing on the seashore. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
We never did figure it out.
Hey,
It was that guy.
I got a side quest for you real fast.
Yeah.
So my wife and kids and I have been reading through Genesis with the kids.
Cool.
We've started. And
There's some wild stuff in Genesis. You're going to have to read around a few things.
there is some wild stuff in
Yeah.
there. But we're doing a chapter by night, and we're talking about Enoch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the way that they phrase, and I even pulled out, because I'm reading in the NASB, and then I also pulled out my ESV to compare it, because when Enoch, he did not die.
That's right.
And so the phrasing, I gotta pull this up real quick and just read it how it is. Sorry, people, I know this is
okay.
Genesis.
We go from Genesis to Revelation, man. We cover it all.
Yeah. Enoch walked with the Lord.
Yes, Enoch walked with God 300 years after he became the father of Methuselah. All right, Enoch walked with God. This is a weird sentence. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him.
That's right. He was not. Which means, and you can get actually, I read part of this in the sermon on Sunday. You can look over at Hebrews 11, and it says it a little different way.
Okay.
It says, by faith Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death. And this actually quotes Genesis, but it says it a little bit differently. And it says, and he was not found because God took him up.
Gotcha.
So people looked for him to see if he died. And then if he did, they would bury his bones.
Yeah.
But they couldn't find him.
Couldn't find him.
Because he was not.
And he took him, I noticed he took him at a young age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he was a young 365 years old.
That's it.
But when you hear that, but then everybody else was like 920.
Methuselah, it wasn't that the oldest?
969.
Yeah, Methuselah.
But it's just interesting how the wording is.
I know.
And
It sounds odd, doesn't it?
I think NIV says, and he walked with God. Like, that says walk, but the phrasing was a little different there.
Yeah.
I wonder why it didn't just say, and he didn't die.
Well, I don't know. Which verse is that? Genesis 5 what?
Genesis 5:24.
Well, let's just get into a little
Side quest, yeah.
extra Bible study.
Like I said, guys,
Genesis
y'all are getting a
5:24.
little Genesis in here. Yeah, it was. You pulling up? Oh, I thought you were pulling up your Bad to the Bone Bible app over there.
I'm actually going to look at this because it has like a bunch of different translations right next to each other.
Gotcha.
So this is my other go-to. NIV says, then he was no more. New Living says, then one day he disappeared.
Okay.
Let's see, what else do we have here?
Strong's definition of not, or where he was nothing, not found. Where
Yeah.
it just says he was not.
Yeah.
It says root meaning nothing or not exist physically anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Like he disappeared.
Yeah.
Christian Standard Bible says Enoch walked with God, then he was not there.
Yeah.
International Standard, he was there no longer.
See, those make a little more sense.
Yeah.
Like just reading it, because that's what Marcy and I both were like. It's just strange. Enoch walked with God, and he was not.
And
This is interesting. It says it's the same word used in Genesis 2:5 when it says the Lord God had not sent rain upon the earth. There was no man to cultivate the ground yet.
Okay. Yeah.
see, there you go. He
Yeah.
was not.
He was not.
He just didn't exist anymore. Yeah. In Net Bible, which is a very good translation, says he disappeared.
Gotcha.
Was seen no more. That's another one.
Enoch Houdini.
Yeah.
I thought that was just pretty neat.
It's cool.
Enoch walked with God, and he was not.
So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So a little extra
Sorry about
added.
that.
No charge for that extra Bible study.
Yep.
You can send a little extra in if you want to, but you don't have to.
Just leave us a rating and a review for
Yeah.
that one there. Yeah.
There you go. See,
That's
that is review worthy right there. Where else are you going to get stuff like that? On the fly.
On the fly. See, this man, I can't even stump him.
Enoch. Old Enoch.
There it is. There it is. Okay, so we left off in chapter 13, and what we saw there is with the beasts, it was actually describing the evil forces at work in the world, the forces of empire and oppression, and we saw the beast of propaganda, the beast that comes from the earth, that draws attention to the first beast, and they're all powered by the dragon. And so it is an unholy trinity. It is God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. It is the dragon, the beast from the sea, and the beast from the earth. It's a counterfeit kind of deal there. We see, I saw these two beasts described a couple of different ways, and I liked all of them. That the beast from the sea is the beast of power, beast from the earth is the beast of propaganda. And then another one described them as domination and deception. One even described them as capitalism and consumerism,
Yeah.
all powered by the dragon and appropriately worshipped.
Yep.
So, and then, of course, you're required or, compelled to take on that image, to bear that name of the beast, take the mark of the beast. And we went into all the different ways that we interpret the 666 number.
Yep.
And yeah, we kind of wrung that out pretty good, I think. Whoever refuses to participate in the system of empire and propaganda is either killed or excluded from society, especially economically. So that's kind of where we got to there. And when it's actually kind of comforting because we know none of this stuff is going on in our world today.
Yep.
It's just, someday it'll happen. Antichrist will come. Everything's going to be just fine till then.
He'll have a T-shirt that says, "I am the Antichrist."
I'll say for those that are new here, that might be a little hint of sarcasm.
No.
But this is going to be, this is where chapter 14 comes in. Now, chapter 14 is another little interlude, and it's going to happen right before we're going to, chapter 15, we're going to see another sign in heaven that will be the prelude to chapter 16, which is another wild chapter with the six bowls, bowls of wrath leading up to the seventh bowl of wrath. And then we're going to get into like it all goes down. It all just happens. So really this is kind of the on-ramp to the big showdown.
Yeah.
14 through 20 is the conflict in the heavens. It is the cosmic battle.
Yep.
And then finally in 21 it all comes out in the wash, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this kind of goes in a few different sections, and so we're going to look at let's just look at the first 5 verses right off the bat. Okay. He says, "And I looked, and behold, the Lamb was standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000," there's that number again, "having his name and the name of his Father written on their foreheads." That once again, he's pairing, the one who sits on the throne with the Lamb. They're one and the same. And I heard a voice from heaven like the sound of many waters and like the sound of loud thunder. And the voice which I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps. Okay, so I want to just kind of set the stage for you just a little bit. Now, we've just seen this big, huge picture in chapter 13 of the cosmic evil army, right?
Yeah.
So we have the beast and the dragon and all of their followers who swear allegiance to them and worship them, right?
Right.
Okay. Here we are with the picture of their opposition. This is the heavenly army. Now,
Gotcha.
Get a couple of clues here. The Lamb standing on Mount Zion. This is code word for Jerusalem, the holy city, the region of Jerusalem, the Temple Mount. It's often called the city of our God, the holy place. It is God's dwelling place, his headquarters.
Right.
So here's the Lamb at the headquarters of the opposition to the cosmic evil army, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. 144,000. Remember what we decided the last time when we saw the 144,000 being marked with the seal?
That's the people waiting, is it?
It's the people of God.
Yep.
Remember how John takes the ethnic Jewish believers in Jesus and the Gentile converts to Jesus.
Yeah.
And he puts them together, but he still allows them to have their own identity.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where we get the multiples of 12s. Okay.
Yep.
So 12, all that stuff. 144,000. Now, he's going to describe them in a little more detail in a second. But it does say, remember, they were sealed way back in, chapter 7 or something like that. They have his name and the name of his Father written on their foreheads. So they have the mark of God as opposed to the ones who have the mark of the beast.
They're sealed.
Yep. They are sealed. Yes. And I heard a voice from heaven. This is cool. This is really cool. Okay, so remember, we've heard voices from heaven before. We saw one like a trumpet, right?
Yep.
Okay, that was to call everybody to action. That was to signal the dwelling place of God. It was to, all the stuff that trumpets do. But we also heard, like in chapter 1, John's vision of Jesus is that he had a voice, a sound like the roar of many waters.
Yep.
Yeah.
That big, and that's not the only place we saw that either, but that's one of the places. Sound of many waters. And here's like the sound of loud thunder. Where did we see that originally?
Throne room.
That's it.
Yep.
It was emanating from the throne, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we got the voice of the Son and the voice of the Father from the throne. Boom, put them all together. Here we go. But here's the cool part about it.
They add an element in there.
It adds an element, yeah. This harp element, and if you read this literally in the like without anyway, literally it reads the voice of harpers harping with their harps.
Yep.
Isn't that cool?
Is that just saying like I take it almost as the voice of with the water and all that? This, you got the power.
Yep.
This and that. Is this saying it's a beautiful voice?
Yes, and here's the cool thing about it is, okay, so the roar of many waters, that would be like universal, pervasive. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
The thunder is the voice of judgment and righteous anger, and that my people are not doing well, and I got to go. But then, so it's kind of this. I don't know. When we saw it originally, it was like an ominous voice. It's like there's thunder and lightning and the roar of many waters and all this stuff. But now we have this harp element, and really what this is a picture of temple worship, because these harps, the Levite priests and all those this was present in their worship, and it was always played during a time of uplifting, of praise and encouragement to God.
Gotcha.
And remember when it talks about being in exile in Babylon. It says, by the river of Babylon, we hung up our harps.
Yeah. Yeah.
We couldn't sing the Lord's song, right? So it is an ominous voice, but it's an encouraging voice.
Yeah. You'll be able to play them harps again.
That's exactly right. So it's like God in His temple. It's the Father and the Lamb. It's all the power, all of the energy, but it's also all of the comfort and assurance and encouragement.
Gotcha.
That's what this is setting up here. Okay, so who is they? Pat, who is they in verse 3? They sing a new song.
Believers, all the people with them.
See, that's what I thought too. But then I read a couple of really good papers about this. Okay, so the they, couple of these people who are smarter than me say that it's the heavenly beings, the four living creatures and the elders. Now it says before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders, but what it also says here is that no one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been purchased from the earth. So basically what's happening here is no matter who it is that sings first, somebody sings first and somebody learns the song, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a new song. So logic might tell you that it's the song that's generated by the four living creatures and the heavenly hosts, and the 144,000 are learning it, and they're all singing it together.
Yeah.
But no one else can learn it or know it or understand it except for the people of God.
Gotcha.
So this is like secret code language. Nobody but redeemed people, nobody but saved people, nobody but people with the mark who belong to God could understand this. And that's just true about Christianity in general.
I was going to say faith, period.
It's like it appears as
Truth.
foolishness to those who do not believe. The cross is foolishness.
Yeah. Every one of them's like, man, give me proof. Like, well,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Prove to me that God exists. Well, prove to me that He doesn't. So there you go.
Yep.
But it's that kind of thing. It's a relationship kind of thing.
Yes.
And so then he says, no one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been purchased from the earth. That's going to be a very important phrase right now, because obviously it's not everybody. They have been purchased. In other words, they've been redeemed. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's going to show up in the very next verse. This is a very confusing verse. He says, these are the ones who have not been defiled with women. Those bad women. I'm telling you, they mess everything. No, it's these are the ones who have not been defiled with women, for they have kept themselves chaste. Says, these are the ones who follow the Lamb wherever He goes. These have been purchased from among men as first fruits to God and to the Lamb. And I'll read 5 as along with it. And no lie was found in their mouth. They are blameless. Okay, Pat, what is he talking about here?
Well, he's talking about virgins, obviously.
Well, but clearly, I mean, it can't be that, right?
No.
Is it just righteous? Talking about his righteous people?
Well, here's the cool thing. Ones who have not been defiled with women, they kept themselves chaste. Okay, so Pat, read 1 Samuel 21, 4 and 5. Logan reads 2 Samuel 11, 6 through 13.
1 Samuel 24.
21,
21.
4 through 5.
4 through 5.
And then 2 Samuel 11, 6 through 13.
All right. The priests answered David and said, "There is no ordinary bread on hand, but there is consecrated bread, if only the young men have kept themselves from women." David answered the priests and said to him, "Surely women have been kept from us as previously when I set out, and the vessels of the young men were holy, though it was an ordinary journey. How much more then today will their vessels be holy?"
Okay. Now, this one's a little bit more obscure, but you'll get the reference on this one.
Then David said to Joab, saying, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." So Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked concerning the welfare of Joab and the people and the state of the war. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." And
That
Uriah,
which means feet, remember feet?
Yep.
Yeah. Go sleep with your wife. That's what he's saying there.
gotcha. And Uriah went out of the king's house, and a present from the king was sent out after him. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and did not go down to his house. Well, now when they told David, saying Uriah did not go down to his house, David said to Uriah, "Have you not come from a journey? Why did you not go down to your house?" Uriah said to David, "The ark and Israel and Judah are staying in temporary shelters, and my lord, Joab, and the servants of my lord are camping in the open field. Shall I then go to my house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? By your life and the life of your soul, I will not do this thing." Then David said to Uriah, "Stay here today also, and tomorrow I will let you go." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. Now David called him, and he ate and drank before him, and he made him drunk. And in the evening he went out to lie on his bed with his Lord's servant, but he did not go down to his house.
There you go.
So is this saying that these are the ones who have not left the calling of the Lord?
Well, the idea is, and there's some other, sort of a little more veiled sort of Old Testament references to this, but the custom was when you were going out to a very important battle, that you did not sleep with your wife.
Yeah.
For a period of like 2 weeks before you left.
Why? Did they think it made you more of a warrior?
That's it. That's it.
Makes you mean?
Probably. It was a ceremonial thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, that Uriah was being faithful to God in his mind, and he wasn't even an Israelite.
That's a bummer, man. If I was getting ready to go to war,
That's
the opposite.
Like, one more time.
I was going to say it might be my last time here.
I know, but that was their deal.
Wow.
And so Uriah the Hittite was being more faithful to Yahweh than David the Israelite.
I was going to say, well, that's what I'm reading. That I'm like, well, who's in the wrong here then?
That's what I'm saying. It was clearly who's in the wrong.
Okay, because I've always read this as you're not chasing personal desires.
Well, I mean, in some ways that's the case, but a lot of people will say, "Oh, yeah, well, these are clearly virgin men, right?"
Yeah.
But no, David's mighty men were. None of them virgins.
None of them.
And the people in Israel's army, that just wasn't what they were talking about.
Right,
You could be or you couldn't be. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
You just, it
was a timing thing.
It was more of a purification thing.
Gotcha.
And so what you see here is this 144,000 are prepared for war.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, the context, man.
Yeah, because I understood the thought behind it, but I never understood the reasoning behind it.
Yeah. And that's
but that checks out.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay.
And it says they follow the Lamb wherever he goes, like a general, like what But they also would carry with it the connotation of they're following Jesus. They're just they're Jesus followers. Okay. Then it says they have been purchased from among men as first fruits to God and the Lamb. Okay. First fruits, that's going to come up really important later on, but we're going to see toward the end of this chapter, right in the middle of the chapter, actually, that there is going to be a harvest. Mm-hmm. There's going to be 2 harvests, actually, and they're described in vivid detail.
The reapers.
Yes, it is all about the reapers, and so these are the first fruits. It's telegraphing what's going to come. Mm-hmm. That these were purchased. This is the first wave of redeemed people. Let's put it that way. Gotcha. Okay, so they it says so they're singing this song together. They're standing there. They're ready for battle. And then it says, no lie was found in their mouth. They are blameless. Pat, read Zephaniah 3:13. Logan, read Hebrews 9:14. I'm going to read from my buddy Jude. We like Jude. He's only one chapter.
3:13, you said?
Yep, Zephaniah 3:13.
The remnant of Israel will do no wrong and tell no lies, nor will a deceitful tongue be found in their mouths, for they will feed and lie down with no one to make them tremble.
Yeah, so this is the idea, is that they qualified themselves. Mm-hmm. They checked the boxes. Mm-hmm. And that's a prophetic word coming out of the exile in Babylon. Is on that day they'll be ready to go. They'll be ready for anything. Okay, so read Hebrews 9:14.
How much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living God?
Yeah, let's see if I wanted you to read. No. Let's say, read the verse right before that. Read those 2 together.
Okay. For if the blood of goats and bulls and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling those who have been defiled sanctify for the cleansing of the flesh, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God?
That's even better.
That is, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living God. Yeah, it makes more sense. Yeah.
And that's kind of the New Testament call to action, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Jude 1:24 says, and this is kind of a classic sort of benediction. It says, now to him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to make you stand in the presence of his glory blameless with great joy.
I like that.
Yeah. Blameless. Blameless does not mean that you are, that you have never sinned. It means that you have qualified yourself.
Yep.
You have
so is that like through repentance?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And of course, he's using this image of this warrior image to kind of do that thing. Okay. This is the army that God has gathered to be victorious in the day of judgment, in the chapters to come. Okay. Now, we switch gears here. 6 through 13 goes together. And we're going to see some angels here. Okay. All right. Messengers, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in verse 6, it says, and I saw another angel. Now, we should be thinking in terms of all of these strong angels that we've seen, unique angels. It is an angel singled out for a particular duty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he says, I saw another angel flying in midheaven. Remember midheaven? Mm-hmm. It is their idea of the way everything was put together was the flat disk earth with the ocean around and a dome, a hard dome that let water down every now and then. And so everything that was in the heavens, like the birds flew in lower heaven. Mm-hmm. Then there was God outside the dome in the outer heaven. Mid-heaven was in that in between. It's the center. Okay. The center. So it's like this angel would have been the center of attention for the whole world, visible to everyone.
Yep.
So and by the way, my friend Michael Heiser wants us to know specifically that the fact that the angel is flying does not mean it has wings. In fact, there's nothing suggesting that it has wings. Superman
fly, not eagle fly.
Well, I mean, it's the idea of movement, of trajectory, appearing, it's that kind of thing. Okay, so this angel is flying in midheaven in view of everybody, having an eternal gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth. Who's that?
The non-believers.
That's it. See, we're tracking this stuff.
Residents
Instead of mouth breathers, they're earth dwellers.
That's exactly right.
Same thing.
That's exactly right. And to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. But notice how he divides those two. This is specifically for the ears of those who dwell on the earth, those who are not believers.
Yep.
But it will also be heard by everybody.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's going to be left out.
That's going to be my new insult to atheists. I'll be like earth dweller.
You're an earth dweller.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's unpack that just a little bit. Pat, what do you think it means that he has an eternal gospel?
And never ending.
That's it. Never ending. Yes, yes. Why does he use the word gospel?
Is he not just sharing the gospel, basically?
Okay, here's what he says. Verse 7. And he said with a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. And worship him who made the heaven and the earth and sea and springs of water." Okay,
That's an interesting call to salvation.
Well,
yeah, it is.
well, it sounds scary, but the gospel literally means good news.
Yes, that's exactly what it means.
And so what it means when he comes down and he says, "Hey, I got this eternal divine good news. So if you are an earth dweller, you should fear God because you got to be on this side of salvation."
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's very interesting because we've talked about this, and this really echoes of Matthew 24:14, which says, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world for a witness to all the nations, and then the end shall come."
Yeah. Yep.
How about that? And then the end shall come. So, justice, judgment is terrible news if you're the one doing the bad things.
If you're the one who's oppressed, it's
awesome
fantastic news.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly right. All of the groundwork has been laid. All of the teams have been chosen. All of the entities are on the field. Mm-hmm. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And so that's his eternal gospel, which means that those who will repent, it's an offer of eternal blessing.
Yeah.
I've got eternal blessing for you, and you want to take it now.
Yeah.
Because judgment's coming on the earth. And, fear God and give him glory now or later.
Yeah.
From one side or the other,
And that word fear too, that's reverence, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
It's not like terror.
Be afraid.
No, this literally does mean revere.
Yeah.
Be in awe of.
Now, this might be a dumb question, but I'm thinking on this, is this to come? Or because I know, we've talked about it's like present and happening and coming and is this actually to come later?
This is actually, I guess it would definitely fit into the already not yet category.
Okay.
In fact, pretty much everything that we're going to talk about in this is the already and the not yet. Because we've seen the progression has been, we've seen the first couple of cycles, the seals, the trumpets, and we've seen how God gradually lifts his hand of restraint.
Yeah.
And so when we're going to get to some of these judgments, we're going to get to a couple of gruesome ones at the end. This is God allowing society to turn on itself.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Basically, is what's going to happen here. And so, this whole judgment thing, God doesn't. So remember, Jesus comes with the sword, which is the word in his mouth. Okay, so he shows up with the sword, speaks the word, and it's like turning on the light in a bunch of cockroaches.
Yeah.
They scatter.
They go crazy. Mm-hmm. And this is what happens when evil encounters the word of truth and the light of God.
Yeah.
So kind of keep that in the backdrop.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to happen. Yeah, this is describing something, but see, we're not even we're not even at the end yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet all of this stuff has been decided. It has been happening in increments.
Yeah.
Since Jesus ascended to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so there's a version of this that's happening in our world right now.
Right.
Yeah.
The angel is flying in midheaven saying, "Fear God." And this message is going out to all the world.
Gotcha.
Even if it's not word for word. It's like Paul talks about how everybody should know because creation screams this stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody knows the difference between right and wrong and good and evil. We know this. And so The angel flying in midheaven. It's universal. It's worldwide.
You mean it's not Kenneth Copeland on his jet?
That would not be. I don't know if I'd use the word angel. I don't know. Sorry, Kenneth. He's an avid listener.
Of course.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's very angry right now.
He's got it pre-programmed on his 11th jet.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's silly.
It's got to be 12. It's got to be. It's got to be a multiple of 12.
There you go.
The 12th one.
Yeah.
Okay, fear God and give him glory because the hour of judgment has come. So this is like, okay, so all the nations are being called to repentance, worship of God. And so it's like I'm going to say it one more time. And then after that, I can't do anything to help you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's that kind of thing. Okay, so there's the message. Worship him who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and the springs of waters. And then we see in verse 8, another angel. A second one followed. I love this verse.
I like that it says a second one
I know.
followed. It's like not the same one. He's not doing a U-turn.
No, that's it. Saying, fallen is Babylon the Great. Now, I want to stop just here just for a second. This is actually the first time we see Babylon
Yep.
in the book of Revelation. And he calls it Babylon the Great. Pat, Isaiah 21:9. Logan, Daniel 4:30.
Now behold, here comes a troop of riders, horsemen in pairs, and one said, fallen is Babylon, and all the images of her gods are shattered on the ground.
Yes. And so here we go. John is using this image of the real Babylon that Isaiah prophesied would fall. And he's speaking in prophetic tense, which means he's speaking as if it already happened.
Yep.
It's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah.
Fallen. Well, it's not fallen yet. It's because he's going to say, in a couple of chapters, talk about Babylon. But it's a done deal. There's no turning back. There's Babylon is done. Read yours.
Daniel 4:30. Oh, 7:30.
No. Excuse me. You were right. 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
The king reflected and said, "Is this not Babylon the Great, which I myself have built as a royal residence by the might of my power and for the glory of my majesty?" A lot of my's in there, eh?
And see, this was after this terrible episode, and he was supposed to be converted and humbled and everything else like that. And that lasts for a year. And he turns around and looks out, and this is where we get this phrase, Babylon the Great.
Yeah. I do love the part that follows.
I know.
Like Nebuchadnezzar, man. Yeah, I actually had that highlighted. Yeah, he eats bugs and grapes.
And he lives that way forever. And then he's restored after that. But, this is what got him in trouble. He says, isn't this great? Isn't this
the pride comes before the fall.
But here's the funny thing about it is, what's happened to Nebuchadnezzar up until that point? He's encountered the God of Israel a number of times. Gotten the poop scared out of him, and yet he has the gall to stand there and say, I created this to the glory of my majesty.
Right.
Yes.
It's that arrogance. And John, you cannot tell me that John didn't grab that phrase and
Let's
put it
plug
right
that
in
in
there.
right there. Yeah.
Yes.
And say, fallen is that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so incredibly obvious. And so John has Rome on his mind.
Yeah.
He's going to make no bones about calling Rome Babylon. Now, this idea that Rome was Babylon, it's very interesting kind of side trip that we need to take here, because it was a common thing in John's day to call Rome Babylon. You see it in a lot of extra biblical writings. It was a thing. So this was not unusual for John to use Babylon in this kind of context. Now, for him to use Babylon the Great, that's like extra, which is really cool. 1 Peter 5:13. I'm going to read that real quick, because there are tons of Second Temple passages that talk about Rome being Babylon, like over and over again. But listen to this. He's closing his letter and he says, "She who is in Babylon, chosen together with you, sends you greetings." It's like he who is in the armpit of hell right now, enjoying life, sends my greetings. You know, I mean, it's really.
I'm glad that you called it the armpit.
I mean, it's like, it's like. Here I am in, I don't know. I'm not going to even say a town because I'm going to offend somebody.
Yeah, what town were you thinking, Peter?
Well, it's funny. It's like the joke, Tennessee has the world's biggest trash can, and it's called Mississippi.
Oh, well, but I'm
there you go.
thinking
Pat
of a place,
did it for you.
like Death Valley or something like
Yeah.
that, where he's just like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So he calls it Babylon the Great. But the interesting thing was, this did not become common in John's day until after 70 AD. What happened in 70 AD? Titus destroyed the temple.
Okay.
Yep.
The Jewish temple.
That's right.
And he desecrated it. He sacrificed a pig inside of it and then proceeded to burn the whole thing down. And so it was shortly after that period. It's not to say there wasn't a couple of random references to Rome being Babylon before that, but overwhelmingly it started after 70 AD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody started referring to Rome in the most derogatory term that they could think of, which is Babylon. They called it Babylon.
Yeah.
Now, here we go with the episode we did last week with the pre-millennialists and post and all this stuff. Now, the preterists will say, no, they referred to Rome as Babylon way before that a couple of times, but they want Revelation to be written earlier because they're thinking all this judgment stuff is the destruction of the temple.
Right.
And so all this stuff is in the past. But this kind of, honestly, it's maybe not a silver bullet, but I will say that it has convinced me.
Yeah.
That had to have been written around 90, like they say.
Gotcha.
Because he just so freely uses Babylon and Rome interchangeably. So you can think what you want. It's okay. If you're a preterist, and I'm cool with you because, you're probably a Calvinist too. So there you go. And
You
we
were
can
the
be friends.
chosen. Yeah.
We can be friends. Yeah.
If it's predestined.
Well, I mean, we're all here, aren't we? So clearly. Anyway. Silliness. Okay, so but this is also Babylon the Great. This is also the unholy trinity of chapter 13.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why he paints that picture first, and he goes to the righteous army, and then he says, okay, this is what's going to happen against the empire of the previous chapter. So we got this unholy trinity in chapter 13, and you read the rest of the verse. It says, fallen is Babylon the Great, she who has made all the nations drink of the wine of the passion of her immorality.
And that word passion is actually wrath.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
It's kind of a multi-layered word, but passion, wrath. In other words,
Consequences.
it is a 150 proof drink.
Yeah.
This is
that's Everclear.
It's
the
exactly
Everclear.
right. This is toxic, to the point of being toxic.
That's interesting to read it as drink of the wine of the wrath of her immorality.
Yep.
It has consequence.
Yep.
Yeah, well, you're drinking something that you have no idea how strong it really is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the image that we get here. So we got that much. Now we get to verse 9. Another angel, a third one, followed them, saying with a loud voice.
Remember, hey guys, wait for me.
Saying with a loud voice. And this is just an announcement. It's like, it's just like if you say, hey guys, breakfast will be at 7, not 6:30 tomorrow morning, it's all that stuff. He's just announcing.
Yeah.
There's probably hardly any emotion in this at all. He's just saying, if anyone worships the beast in his image and receives a mark on his forehead or upon his hand, he also will drink of the wine of the wrath of God.
Do you think that come across as like...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is your captain speaking. So you got the wine of the passion or wrath of her immorality. Now you have the wine of the wrath of God. And listen to this, which is mixed in full strength in the cup of his anger.
Man, dang. Now he actually is using what we were talking about off air, where he was like, hey guys, be saved, you're going to go to hell.
That's about right.
He was like... But I like the word usage, man, which is mixed in full strength in the cup of his anger.
Well, I like that it says he also will drink, because he's saying if you drink that...
You already drunk this.
Yeah. If you drink that, you're to drink this.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. You know, it's like we're playing that drinking game. What was it? You know, and it's like, yeah, you got to drink this too.
Yep.
Yeah. You know.
Man,
I know it. And once again, it's just an announcement. You know,
Yeah.
if you got if you are allegiant only to the beast, to the point to where you bear the mark, you bear the name of the empire. You are identified as corruption, identified as oppression, identified as greed, arrogance, all the stuff that he's just been talking about with these other angels. Then you're going to have to drink this too.
And I like that it's a warning too. It's if you do this, you will have to do this as well.
Yeah,
well, that's what I was about to say. It's like, hey, this is another thing to me where it's like, again, we're given the choice again and again and again and again.
Yep.
And it's like,
It's a warning.
it's a warning constantly. It's like, dude, it's almost like, please, would you just freaking go ahead
I
and
know.
like, the decision
I
to
sent you
make.
an earthquake and hailstones
Yes.
and everything else like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you hard head.
I know, it's exactly right. But that's the interesting thing about it is, you know, is just like he's saying, if anyone, so in the previous chapter, if anyone does not worship the beast and his image,
Yeah.
you're going to be killed or you're going to be excluded from any society, you know, economic structure, well, all this stuff. You're out. Now he's coming right back to him saying, no, this is my army. These are my rules. These are my messengers. This is my angels.
Yeah.
So what my message is, if you worship the beast and his image, if you have received a mark on your forehead or upon your hand willingly, then you're going to have to drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is mixed in full strength in the cup of his anger.
Yeah.
And
that's after you've drank hers.
yeah. And now this is where it gets a little bit, I don't know, it gets a little bit real here. He says, and there can be a lot of discussion about this part of this verse. And he will be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
So what does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can pick through this just a little bit.
Have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where the blowtorch scene at the end?
Yeah.
It's that.
Oh, I have no idea what
I was
you're
going to say, I
talking
know
about.
Peter hasn't seen that one.
No, I missed that one. Okay. So
This is not talking about hell.
maybe yes, maybe no. This is where it gets a little bit, you know, I don't think it is.
Because I was going to say this,
myself.
if it is, this is messing with my annihilations.
Well, we had this discussion on the podcast that I listened to. I had this discussion in my own self. And they had a discussion separate from me. But you know, actually, the scholars that I'm really tracking with will tell you that it doesn't have to mess with it.
Okay.
Because just because of the wording and the language and all these different kinds of things, it carries with it the image of an eternal, you know. Okay, so let's just pick through it for a second. Okay, he will be tormented. Torment. Remember the difference between torment and torture.
Yep.
Torture is external. Torment is internal.
Spiritual.
Yeah.
Fire and brimstone. In the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb. And okay, I'm not sure that it is clearly because we're not to the lake of fire yet.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and so
Could this be just earthly torment?
it
Spiritual. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
spiritual torment.
We've got smoke. Look at verse 11. The smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day and night.
All right, I can definitely tell you though, this is where my image that I had forever of hell, I think, came from.
Sure,
Because it's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
going to be eternal torment.
that's right.
Yeah.
And you could make a case for that right
Yeah.
here. But the weird part of it is, so is he talking about something that's going to happen like as this judgment is going down? Is he talking about, you know, if you don't repent, then at some point when the army wins the final battle, this is what's going to happen to
Yeah.
you? Or is it just, you know, what's going to happen right now? It's very ambiguous here.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think it's something happening right now.
It feels to me like it is. Now, I'm not, you know, please don't, you know.
It's
That's-
not dogmatic.
Well, that's how I'm feeling as we're chipping through it. I'm like, well, maybe this is it. My first reading of that would have been almost literal.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it's not literal. It's not literal fire and brimstone, because then the smoke of their torment goes up forever. That doesn't seem literal.
No, I agree with this. Okay, so there's a couple of there's a couple of ways we can approach this, and I've got one of these in this. Yeah. This article that I read says this is an image of now and later. So as the judgment is going down, like I said, when the unrighteous are confronted with truth and light, it's misery, absolute misery.
Yeah.
You could make it, torment. It's anguish. Smoke. That always is the like the intangible. It's the the smoke was deceit. The smoke was propaganda. The smoke was out of the smoke came the locusts. It's so there's a reason that the smoke is in there.
Yeah.
It can make a case for eternal conscious torment, or it could make a case still for annihilationism. Yeah. Because this is not the final.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it's not. We're only in chapter 14.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't. What it doesn't say is if you have the mark of the beast on your forehead or on your hand, the wrath of God is going to kill you and put you in this place.
Yeah.
Right? It does not say that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can read that into this passage at this point.
I agree.
You could say this is something that you need to be looking forward to.
This will be your future.
Yeah.
But let's take these three messages together, because these three messages are the eternal gospel altogether. It's the fulfillment of the entire message.
Yeah.
So these three angels are not. This is not like, oh, here's one message. Oh, and by the way, I got another message. And this is the same episode.
Yeah.
It just one goes here, one goes here, one goes here.
Is this the first ever 3-point sermon?
It is. Yes. Yeah. You've got. Let's see. You got. I can't think of three.
Now you got to make the main letters
I know,
start.
that's what I was
They gotta be the same.
Yeah. You got. I'll think of it. It'll just take me a second. Okay, but you have. You have fear God, give him glory, for the hours come. And then this is where that word followed comes in. It's part of the same train of thought. It's not, we're not switching gears here. And he says, fallen is Babylon the Great. So if you put your trust in that, it's over already.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the third angel says, oh, and by the way, if you've sworn allegiance to that, things are not going to be good for you, because the wrath of God is going out right now against anything that's evil. So if you're in league with evil, you're going to be tormented. It's just going to be,
So it's fear, fallen, and furthermore.
There you go. I like it. Yeah. We could do that.
You just wrote Peter's sermon for him.
Why not? I mean, it's patent AI.
Let's just go fire and brimstone this Sunday.
You know what you'll
There you
get?
go.
F plus.
So the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. They have no rest day and night. Now I want to, before we move on, drinking the wine to intoxication is the unleashing of God's wrath in the final day. And I want to get a couple of these verses in, because this is really cool. Pat reads Psalm 60, verse 3. Logan, get Isaiah 51:17. And then I'm going to get something, another psalm in here. But read Psalm 60, verse 3.
A psalm. You have made your people experience hardship. You have given us wine to drink that makes us stagger.
Yes. See, there you go. That's that idea of intoxication. Isaiah 51:17.
Rouse yourself. Arise, O Jerusalem, you who have drunk from the Lord's hand the cup of his anger. The chalice of reeling you have drained to the dregs.
Drained to the dregs. Yes. That's exactly where he's getting this image of the wine of the passion for immorality.
And the cup of his anger. I mean, that's literally, what did it say? Mixed full strength in the cup of his anger.
That's exactly right. Listen to this. This is Psalm 75:8. He says, for a cup is in the hand of the Lord, and the wine foams. It is well mixed, and he pours out of this. Surely all the wicked of the earth must drain and drink down to its dregs. And then we got some from Jeremiah. and you'll love these too. Jeremiah 25:15. Logan, get 51:7. I'm going to read 25:15 because I'm right here.
Okay.
It says, "For thus the Lord God of Israel says to me, take this cup of the wine of wrath from my hand and cause all the nations to whom I send you to drink it. And they shall drink and stagger and go mad because of the sword that I will send among them." The word, the sword, Yeah, see, there you go. "I took the cup from the Lord's hand and made all the nations drink to whom the Lord sent me." And it goes on. He says, "In Jerusalem, the cities of Judah and its kings and its princes, to make them a ruin, a horror, a hissing, and a curse, as it is this day." He goes on. That's very vivid.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt. Is this also the same language when Jesus says, "Let this cup pass from me," when he wishes he could?
That's exactly
but
right.
Jesus took the cup,
Yes.
this cup that he's talking
That's
about
the
in
cup.
our place?
Yes.
Okay.
I never put that together.
Okay, yeah.
That's the cup Jesus was referring to that he took on behalf of the entire world.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
And it's interesting too because remember when the disciples were arguing about who was the greatest, and he said to them, "Can you drink the cup that I'm about to drink?"
Yeah.
But then he goes one further and he says, "And can you handle the baptism that I'm about to be baptized with?"
Yeah.
It's those are the two main ordinances or sacraments of the church, right? Baptism and communion. And he asked them both about the same thing, and they say, "Yeah, we can do that." He's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't. So yeah, that's a very astute observation. That is exactly the cup. This is why Jesus was overcome with anguish and sweating drops of blood.
Understandably so.
Yes, exactly. All right, 51:7.
Babylon has been a golden cup in the hand of the Lord, intoxicating all the earth. The nations have drunk of her wine, therefore the nations are going mad.
Yes. The nations are going mad. They're being tormented.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the image here. So whether or not we are to take it eternally or not, I think it can be a both and thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can read into it goes up forever and ever. I actually heard a talk on this actual verse one time because they were doing a thing on hell, and there's two ways you can look at the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. And that is just like when you're talking about annihilationism, if you are thrust into this fire and brimstone thing and you're burned up and you cease to exist, the fire is still burning for the next person, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it doesn't require you to take a stand one way or the other.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. So glad we got that cleared up. Jewish commentators and exegetes from ancient times would group Psalm 75:8, Jeremiah 25:15, and Jeremiah 51:7 in a group, and they identify them. It would identify them as the wicked who will drink in the time to come. And it says that they will drink it in the presence of the righteous, with the righteous looking on, which is kind of wild. Pat, read Isaiah 66:22-24.
22-24.
Yep.
For just as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make endure before me, declares the Lord, so your offspring and your name will endure. And it shall be from new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath. All mankind will come to bow down before me, says the Lord. Then they will go forth and look on the corpse of the men who have transgressed against me, for their worm will not die, and their fire will not be quenched, and they will be an abhorrence to all mankind.
In the presence of, we're going to observe these corpses. Their worm will not die, fire will not be quenched. In other words, they're corpses, but they're still not dead.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of the heavenly hosts will be looking, watching. Not sure exactly what all that is about, but it does exist, and that's clearly what John is referencing here, in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Basically, the whole point of these three angels, these three messages, is there is now officially no gray area.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
one seal or the other.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's just it. And
Choose your side.
that's exactly right. So you're given this side of blessing and this side of torment.
Yeah.
That's the idea. It says, the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. They have no rest. Tuck that away. Day and night. Those who worship the beast and his image and whoever receives the mark of his name. Just couldn't be clearer right there. And then again, he takes this he turns to talk to the Christian people for a second. And he uses some of the same language. He says, here is the perseverance of the saints who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. What did he say in chapter 13 when he took a little pause to talk to the Christian people? He says, if anyone is destined for captivity, to captivity he goes. If anyone kills with the sword, he must be killed. Here is the perseverance and the faith of the saints.
Yeah.
Same exact language. So he's saying this is the promise for the saints who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. And so then he says, I heard a voice from heaven. This will be the one seated on the throne saying, write this down. Write it down. Blessed, that is the same beatitude word. Blessed. Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says who?
The Spirit.
Yeah, Spirit's right there. That they may rest. Oh, who doesn't get to rest?
The non-believers.
Earth dwellers.
Yes, the
The
mouth
smoke of the
breathers.
torment goes up forever and ever. They have no rest day and night. Yet, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, for their deeds follow with them.
And I think this also doubles down that believers will be alive when this happens.
Oh yeah, some will have died, but they will be under the altar and they will see everything that's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
The 144,000 is all the people of God who are dressed for battle. Right. They're prepared. They've qualified themselves, and then here come the angels going, okay, one last time before this whole thing unfolds.
Hey, big dummies.
Yeah. And by the way, anybody who dies in these conflicts, in these battles, you're going to get to rest.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of a thing. I got you.
Don't be afraid of that. Fear the Lord.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that really
good.
is it. It's like, stay the course here.
Yep.
This is the perseverance of the saints. It will be worth it.
Yep.
Is what
Push
he's
on.
saying here.
Push on.
Okay. So now comes the good part.
The Reapers.
Yes.
Bam, bam. We need some guitar going into that one. The Reapers.
Okay, we got a problem right off the bat. Verse 14, and I looked, and behold, a white cloud, not a white claw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a white cloud,
Almost all clouds are white.
almost. But this is a symbolic white cloud. Sitting on the cloud was one like a son of man, having a golden crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Okay, so this is one that causes lots of controversy. Who is the one sitting on the cloud like a son of man?
Is it like Son of Man or is it Son of Man?
Well, if you want to look at different translations, some of them will capitalize son and man. And
I was
others
about
don't.
to say his is capitalized
Yes.
in mine.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So that's got to be the man, ain't it?
Well, some would say not, and there's a reason why they would say not. And see, if you got the NASB 95, which is the Lord's translation, you'll also notice sitting on the cloud was one like, and it has the little number 1 right there, son of man. It says go to the footnote, or the capital son of capital man.
Yep.
So it could go either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only where I'm conflicted is God has the sword coming out of his mouth.
Yes.
The Jesus, whatever, it has the sword coming out of his mouth. So why would he have the sickle in his hand?
Well, there is a good reason for that.
Okay.
We're going to look at that in just 2 seconds. But white cloud, sitting on the cloud, one like a son of man with a golden crown and a sharp sickle. Okay. So almost every other reference that we see, son of man, it always refers to
Jesus.
Yeah. Cloud, sitting on the cloud, coming on the clouds.
That's Daniel.
Yeah, it's Daniel 7, right? And then he's got a sharp sickle in his hand. The problem people have with this is the next verse. because it says, and another angel, this one of these, unique angels with a unique job, right? Another angel came out of the temple. Now, we were just in the temple with the 144,000, right?
That's
with
right.
the harps and all the stuff. Okay, so he's coming out of that place, crying with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud. Put in your sickle and reap, because the hour to reap has come, because the harvest of the earth is ripe.
So an angel would not be barking orders to Jesus.
That's the problem they have.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a
does
pretty
Jesus
big problem.
take orders from angels?
No.
And then verse 16, he follows the order.
That's exactly right. He who sat on the clouds swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was reaped. Okay.
Okay.
So let's put all of the pieces of the puzzle together. First of all, Son of Man is almost everywhere Jesus. Jesus used the phrase for himself. Son of Man comes on the clouds. Jesus is now seated on a cloud, okay? So let's go with this seated motif. Logan, read all of Psalm 110.
Okay.
And then Pat, read Mark 14:62.
Okay. Ready?
Yep, it's just a few verses.
Yeah. The Lord says to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. The Lord will stretch forth your strong scepter from Zion, saying, rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people will volunteer freely in the day of your power, in holy array from the womb of the dawn. Your youth are to you as the dew. The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. The Lord is at your right hand. He will shatter kings in the day of his wrath. He will judge among the nations. He will fill them with corpses. He will shatter the chief men over a broad country. He will drink from the brook by the wayside. Therefore, he will lift up his head.
Is that just not a picture of what we just saw with the 144,000? They're volunteers. They're ready. They're, he's going to. Okay, so he's seated in the place of power, the place of authority, the right hand of power. For what purpose? To judge.
Yeah.
To bring in the harvest.
Yep.
Okay. Read Mark 14:62. This is Jesus talking to Caiaphas, the high priest, right?
This is what got him condemned.
That's exactly right. So,
And Jesus said, I am, and you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven.
sitting, coming, clouds, right hand of power. There you go. Okay, so I don't think there's any way that you can say this is an angel.
Yeah.
You'd have to almost be demoting Jesus to the position of an angel.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point. Okay, so how do we then reconcile with verse 15? Just the same way we reconciled in the earlier chapters of Revelation when we saw a strong angel come with a loud voice and declare that this is the time that this is going to happen. He's just announcing to the heavens,
This is what's going
the
down.
whole universe, that it's time. It's like ringing the bell.
Yeah.
You know.
The part that's weird to me is the word like in verse 14.
Oh, I know. But it is not. Let me get to
Just where for people wondering, where it says on a cloud was one like a son of man.
But that is Daniel language all day long.
Yeah.
And the reason that Daniel uses one like a son of man is because it's not Jesus yet.
That's true.
There's
yeah.
no Jesus.
That's true. Yeah.
And so it's one that's not a son of man,
Yeah.
but it's like a son of man, but it's clearly divine, but it's clearly in human form.
Yeah. Gotcha.
That word like is the homeos. And it's like, similar, resembling, corresponding to a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think about it coming Old Testament, like Daniel wise.
Yeah.
It's also when Jesus taught in parables. It's when he says it's like this.
Yeah.
It's the same word.
Yeah. I got to go back one. Come on. There we go. One like a son of man. Yeah. It's just he's just lifting the line right out of Daniel,
Yeah.
so that they'll recognize it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, once again, Old Testament stuff. All right.
So basically, just him swinging the sickle over the earth, and the earth was reaped, is him judging the earth.
Well, almost.
Yeah.
We're almost to that point, because this is a little bit different. Now, Pat, read Matthew 9:37 and 38.
Matthew 9.
I want to see the paintings of Jesus holding the sickle.
I know. A sharp sickle.
Yes.
Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore beseech the Lord and harvest of the harvest and send out the workers into his harvest."
Yes. And other more well-known translations will say, pray to the Lord of the harvest. Pray to the Lord. So who's the Lord of the harvest? That's Jesus.
I'm saying in this case, it sounds like it's Jesus here. So, all right. So then it's not judging. Is he almost just gathering
That's
because I'm thinking about it from harvest, man. You gather the crops. He's gathering his people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few.
Gotcha.
And if you read the verse right before that, it's seeing the people, he felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dispirited like sheep without a shepherd.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on to that just for a second because this is like the coolest thing. Okay, so in the angel says that the hour to reap has come because the harvest of the earth is ripe. Now that word ripe is going to be different from the word we're going to see 3 verses later, that is the same English word ripe. This means overripe to the point to where it's going to spoil.
Yeah.
It's almost like, the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. It's urgent. It's about to fall off.
Yep.
The bananas
stalks.
are getting brown spots on them.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Pick it now or it's going to go bad.
Yeah. That's right. It says, so now is the time. The harvest of the earth has been ripe for some time.
Yeah.
For quite some time.
Yeah.
And so then it says, he was out on the cloud, swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was reaped. Okay. So that is, we're going to call that the harvest of the saints.
Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
It really is cool. And all of this language, the fact that it's Jesus coming on the clouds like the Son of Man, all this language here, the harvest of the earth is overripe, and he gladly, this is Jesus
Harvesting,
doing the harvesting. Yes, exactly. Okay. So then we get to verse 17. Another angel.
Them jokers are busy.
They are busy. Comes out of the temple again, which is in heaven, unless they tell you that it's the heavenly temple. He also has a sharp sickle. Now, this is an angel. This is not Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get the idea that this may not be a harvest of the saints. Okay, it's a whole different ball game here.
What this dude's about to doing? Are you okay? Gotcha. Not, I was gonna say gotcha.
This is different from the one right before it. Okay. And so then 18, and another angel. Now this is cool. You have to think back to a few chapters before. Is it 11 maybe? The one who has power over fire. Do you remember the angel that had the censer? And the incense and the prayers of the saints and throws it to earth.
Oh, yeah.
Guy.
Okay.
Gotcha.
It's that guy.
And it says he came out from the altar.
From the altar. That's where we get our clue here. And basically, he's the one in charge of the fire, throwing it down to the earth. But he's also the one in charge of the incense and the prayers of the saints. It's all bundled in together. So you get this big, very rich image that this is the answer to the prayers of the saints, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And he calls out with a loud voice to him who has the sharp sickle, saying, now here once again, why are these angels ordering each other around? It's the same announcement. It's push the button, ring the bell.
Yeah.
It's time. And so he says, put in your sharp sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, from the vintage of the earth, because her grapes are ripe.
Now, is this earth dwellers?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The vine of the earth, that which is planted in the earth. Remember when Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches? That's the other vine.
So we're seeing two different gatherings.
Completely.
Man, that is really cool when you break it down, like say the vine of the earth.
Yes.
Man, that is cool. Yeah, they're rooted in the earth.
The spiritual vine is Jesus. The Father is the vine dresser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, where are the branches? All that stuff. Okay, so we got the prayers of the saints, we got the fire, we got all the stuff, and he says, put in your sharp sickle, gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, because her grapes are ripe. This word ripe means they are in prime condition. They are ready.
Gotcha.
They are plump. They are juicy. No, they've been given all the time they need.
Yeah.
They're now, they're now ready.
Yeah.
Full grown.
Yeah. The conditions are perfect for them to be harvested. Okay. Okay, so then the angel swung his sickle to the earth and gathered the clusters from the vine of the earth and threw them into the great winepress of the wrath of God. They did not see that coming.
No.
I don't think they saw that coming. Okay, we got a couple of things to do here. Okay, so the angel swung his sickle to the earth, gathered clusters, threw them into the great winepress of the wrath of God. Now, why is the angel who has power over fire in the mix in the beginning? Why does he even show up? Because the angel could swing his sickle all by himself. Well, you got to get this image, because the other angel who has power over fire is kind of involved in this picture. Logan, read 1 Corinthians 3, 12 and 13.
1 Corinthians 3, 12 and what?
13.
Okay. Now, if any man builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, and straw, each man's work will become evident, for the day will show it, because it is to be revealed with fire, and the fire itself will test the quality of each man's work.
Okay, so the interesting thing there is who the one who's the keeper of the fire, the one who has power over the fire. Okay, so once again, he's not going to allow anybody to cry foul.
Yeah.
Right.
He's going to be. He says, okay, I got the fire. The fire is going to purify. The fire is going to show. The fire is going to reveal. And so you put all these people in the wine press, but before they go into the wine press, I'm gonna check them all out with fire. Make sure they deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And that's why he's in the picture to begin with. So the vision there is the angel who with the sickle, accompanied by the angel in charge of the fire, who's going to evaluate the works of those who are harvested, swings his sickle to the earth, gathers the clusters, throws them into the great winepress of the wrath of God. Now, listen to this. Isaiah 63, 1 through 6. You're going to love this. Try and tell me that John is not thinking about this passage when he's describing this. Okay. He says, who is this who comes from Edom? Now, Edom is often interchanged with Babylon because Edom helped Babylon when Israel or Judah needed help, and he sided with Babylon.
Yeah, I think Edomites.
That's exactly right. Who is this who comes from Edom with garments of glowing colors from Bozrah? This one who is majestic in his apparel, marching in the greatness of his strength. It is I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is your apparel red and your garments like the one who treads in the winepress? I have trodden the wine trough alone, and from the peoples there was no man with me. I also trod them in my anger and trampled them in my wrath, and their lifeblood is sprinkled on my garments, and I stained all my raiment, for the day of vengeance was in my heart, and my year of redemption is come. And I looked, and there was no one to help. And I was astonished, and there was no one to uphold. So my own arm brought salvation to me, and my wrath upheld me. And I trod down the peoples in my anger, and made them drunk in my wrath. And I poured out their lifeblood on the earth. Okay. In this passage, obviously, clearly, this whole idea of wine and blood and wine press, all that stuff is there. Yeah. Now, we're not told in Isaiah's prophecy who's doing the treading.
Right.
Yeah. What John is telling us in Revelation 14 verses 19 and 20 is that the treader in Isaiah is Jesus.
Gotcha.
It's the angel of the Lord.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And once again, we're dealing with the Old Testament visions, their language, and the New Testament. It's the angel of the Lord. It's going to be Jesus in the Old Testament. It's going to be Jesus in the New Testament. Okay. So, the great winepress of the wrath of God. And this is important because it says, and the winepress was trodden. Okay, who's doing the treading? John tells us that it's the same one in Isaiah. So it's Jesus. Okay. Get this. Outside the city. Why is that important?
Because they can't come in to the gates.
Read Hebrews 13, 11 through 13. Pat, read Leviticus 16, verse 27.
What, Hebrews 13, what?
11 through 13.
Okay. For the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the holy place by the high priest as an offering for sin are burned outside the camp. Therefore, Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people through his own blood, suffered outside the gate. So let us go out to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. Wow.
How many times does it say outside the camp, outside
Quite a bit,
the gate?
yeah.
Okay, read Leviticus 16:27.
But the bull of the sin offering and the goat of the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy place, shall be taken outside the camp, and they shall burn their hides, their flesh, and their refuse in the fire.
Okay, where was Jesus crucified?
Outside the gates.
city.
Or outside the city.
Golgotha.
Yeah.
They had to take him outside.
That's right.
Okay, so who's coming back now to tread the clusters? Mm-hmm. And where is he treading them?
Outside the city.
Outside. Yep.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I read this great quote about this. It says, let me find it here. Yes, humanity's blood now flows where the Lamb's blood once flowed. So Jesus was crucified outside the camp, the place of disgrace. Now the unbelievers and the evil powers, because he's defeating them both at the same time, suffer the same disgrace. Wow. Humanity's blood now flows where the Lamb's blood once flowed.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look in Revelation 19:15, this is Logan's favorite chapter. We're going to get there, and we're going to have a nice time with it. But if you look at 19:15, you see the coming of Christ, right? The white horse, the tattoo, the whole nine yards. And from his mouth comes a sharp sword, so that with it he may smite the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron, and he treads the winepress of the fierce wrath of God the Almighty. So it tells us right there who's doing the treading.
Yep.
Yeah,
we should have just cheated, and I could have read ahead.
But I wanted to get all that other cool stuff in there first, because it really is cool. Okay, so now, this is where, this last verse is just wild. The winepress was trodden outside the city, and the blood came out from the winepress up to the horses' bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia, which says here it's 200 miles. Actually, it's 184 miles.
That's a lot of blood.
That's blood. Yeah. That is blood.
Yeah.
Hate blood.
Yeah, and so this drives the dispensationalists and the literalists completely out of their minds because they're going, oh, so this is what's going to happen up to the horse's bride. Well, it must be down in the valley. Let's look at our maps and see where the valley is. Where's the closest valley? Yeah. And it's gonna, it's like it just blows people's minds. Yeah. It messes with them.
I could see where 200 miles of blood would blow people's minds. Yeah. Man.
Yeah. Okay. So. This is, without a doubt, a literary device called a topos. T-O-P-O-S. Topos. Topos. Yes. It's like those clubs I've heard about. Those tapas clubs. It's a topos, a rhetorical technique using extreme exaggeration to make a point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I'll always use to explain my side to my wife.
That's exactly
yes.
right. Yes, I'm just using a topos.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna start using that.
It's frequently found in ancient literature. Now, I will let me preface by saying this. Josephus used this topos device when he describes the number of Jews slaughtered in the 70 AD destruction of the temple. He says, the Romans deluged or flooded the whole city with blood to an extent that many fires were extinguished by the gory stream.
Hey, man. Next time I cut myself or something, I describe it, I'll be like, man, 200 miles of blood came out.
1,600 stadia.
1,600 stadia, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so look at, this is the coolest part though. Okay, First Enoch 100, 1 through 3. Listen, see if John might be thinking about this. It says, in those days, in one place, fathers together with their sons shall be smitten, and brothers will fall in death with one another until the streams flow with their blood. For a man shall not spare his hand from slaying his sons and his sons' sons, and the sinner shall not spare his hand from his honored brother. From dawn till sunset they shall slay one another. And the horse shall wade up to the breast in the blood of sinners, and the chariot shall be submerged to its height. In those days the angels shall descend into the secret places and gather together all those who brought down sin, and the Most High will arise on that day of judgment to execute great judgment among sinners. Singers too.
Yeah,
Same thing.
same thing.
I'm pretty sure that's
gotta be,
that John is thinking,
That's first century text too,
Look
right?
at that. I asked y'all a question about Enoch to start us off.
and we're finishing with Enoch.
There you go.
It's just, I mean, there's just too many connecting points here. He's using this topos to describe, to intentional exaggeration, to say you won't even be able to believe what's going to happen.
Would John have read Enoch?
Yes.
As historical or as...
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because there were many people in those days that would have considered. In fact, you can see collections of scriptures. It wasn't until later that they put all 66 books together. But you'd see 4 or 5 books together, and you might see Isaiah. You might say, see any number of these Second Temple books wrapped right in with what we would know today as scripture.
I think the Ethiopian church still has Enoch.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. But the point is, John obviously knows he's read Enoch. Most everybody who could read would have read all this stuff.
And regardless, he's drawing a direct comparison.
And he's just going like my brother Enoch says, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And he uses this right out here because all the rest of the readers would have been reading this stuff too.
Yeah.
Because, and this is honestly, one of the reasons I love this chapter is because some of the references are so obvious that there's no other way you can read this.
Right.
And when you read Isaiah, and when you read Jeremiah, and when you read Psalm 110, and when you read the stuff even out of Hebrews and Mark and Matthew, I mean, it's like, how do you then make up a system where any one of our current world leaders becomes the Antichrist, and we're going to look for 200 miles of literal blood up to the bridles of the, I mean, it's like you can't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Because it makes the book of Revelation into a completely different literary work.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is not spirit inspired at that point. It's whatever your system is inspired.
Yep.
And same thing with the whole preterist view, all this stuff. Okay, I get it. It makes it more tidy. We can read this and go, it wasn't that terrible when that happened in AD 70. It was all awful. Well, this is clearly a lesson for us that we shouldn't get, we shouldn't get out over our skis and get too full of ourselves.
It's funny that this is the one book of the Bible where everyone lets the spiritual side take a back seat and reads it like a screenplay.
Because we're getting toward the battle, and we're gonna see. There's basically 2 parts of this battle, and we're gonna see how we've tried to take some of these names and we've decoded them, and we say, this is where Armageddon is, and this is where Megiddo this and Megiddo that. It's like, stop it, people. I mean, just knock it off. We'll get there when we get there, but. I think this chapter right here is like, okay. Oh, and there's one more that I forgot to read. This is the best one. Logan, get Joel 3:11 through 14. This is the hammer on the nail.
All right.
This is the last stroke right here.
Joel 3.
11 through 14.
All right, here we go. Hasten and come, all you surrounding nations, and gather yourselves there. Bring down, O Lord, your mighty ones. Let the nations be aroused and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I will sit to judge all the surrounding nations. Put in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, tread, for the winepress is full. The vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Now, I don't think there's no mistaking the comparison there.
Yeah, and that's Old Testament, man.
Yeah, put in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come tread, for the winepress is full.
All right. I rest my case. Yeah.
The winepress going to be full, man.
Even Jesus said in Matthew 13, he said, the Son of Man will send forth his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all stumbling blocks and all those who commit lawlessness, and will cast them into the furnace of fire. In that place there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
I've got an apple press, a cider press. I can't help but think about it. Like, man, when you fill it up and you crank it down, the juices will just absolutely flow out of that thing. So I'm having the most bizarre bloody visualization of that.
Yeah, and you got bones sticking out, cartilage. And,
a little bit of stuff sometimes. And I don't know if he filters his as well. Like mine's got.
Can we start calling it that? Can we start calling it sinner juice?
Sinner juice. Oh
Wow.
man, that one is the best one.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is.
There's no way you can read Joel 3 and not link it
it's
back
direct
to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So what do we get here with this whole chapter? We get it kind of in three movements, if you will, four movements, I guess. We first see the temple scene where God is gathering His forces to come against the forces of evil and the beasts and all that kind of stuff. These are the people that bear the mark of God, the first fruits of the harvest of the saints, combined with the heavenly hosts. That's the picture that we see.
Yeah.
Then we see this testimony, this gospel, the last chance warning to all the unbelievers, a shot across the bow to the evil powers because they're in midheaven. They're seen by the universe, right?
Yeah.
Heard by the universe, including the announcement of the fall of Babylon and the judgment of those who will not repent. The blessedness of the promise.
Do you think the devil's sitting there like like laughing up at him, or do you think he's like, oh man, I know it's coming?
I think honestly, the devil is saying, I'm going to go down swinging.
Yeah.
Fill that winepress up because they're going with me.
Yeah.
He's not going to say I'm scared. He's going to say, no, I'm going to take one last shot.
Yeah.
One last shot. See if I can get as many people down into that everlasting torment with me. All right. So then we see the blessedness of and the promise for those who are faithful, including those who already lost their lives and will lose their lives. So the word of God and the testimony of Jesus. Then we see the harvest of the righteous, the harvest of the saints, and the harvest and judgment of the rest of the world. Okay, so interesting thing that I thought about. I didn't read about this. I just thought about it in my own head is, okay, well, maybe you could make a case for a rapture out of the Son of Man coming out of the Son of...
When they harvest them?
Yeah, he harvests them. And so, no, they're taken away. But it's like, no, we're almost done with the book.
Yeah.
I mean...
7-year tribulation, he comes at 11:29 on the 6th day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, this is a... Honestly, this whole... thing here, these harvests are happening right really at the same time, and this is symbolic of the second coming of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And we're seeing this in this interlude. It's Babylon has not fallen yet,
right,
which means the harvests haven't happened yet, but it's already been decreed and it's already locked and loaded. Everything's ready to go. So that's kind of where we are here. And then we get to 15. We're going to see another sign in heaven, another worship service, right before the 6 bowls of wrath. Yes, you serve you up a bowl of wrath. Put a little extra sugar on it, so it'll go down. No, that's basically it. What do you think of that chapter, Pat?
Man, I've read through it. I kind of knew it was an interlude, but the thing that stuck out at me is it gives an imagery to the cup that Jesus was talking about.
That is huge. Yeah, that is
I
huge.
never thought about that till just now.
Yeah, mixed full strength. What'd you think, Logan?
It kind of keeps going back, and I keep going back to the fact that we have so many chances. We're given so many chances to repent and to turn to Him, and I feel like down all the way to the nitty gritty they're still like, hey, come on.
Yep.
You still got a chance. And also I love the image of Jesus with his scepter up there. The sharp scepter.
Sickle.
I want to see that painting. That's the one I want to see.
Nobody does that one.
Nobody does that. Yeah. Why do they not do that one?
Probably because some of them think that it's not Jesus.
I feel like when after Jesus has his sickle moment, when the angel comes out in comparison to Jesus is like Carl. I had a Kaiser blade and following Jesus.
Yeah, I'd hate to have to follow Jesus.
Yeah, that's a tough act to follow.
That is. That would be.
Well, but Jesus throws a sickle in and harvests the saints, and then while he's making his way down to the winepress, the other angel swings the sickle, and the angel of the fire evaluates everyone, and then it's just like, I'm going to go stomping.
Yep.
Yeah. But this is, we have to be careful to remember also, this is not just random destruction of humans.
Right.
It is conquering the powers, the evil powers, the nations and their gods. And really, in what we're seeing here too is we're trampling the systems, the empire and the oppression and all this stuff. This is what we're trampling. The judgment is not just against random human beings. It's against.
It's a division of allegiances.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I heard one of the commentators kind of say it this way. When God's hand of restraint is fully released, then society just turns on itself, and the killing is just, it's like. It's almost like what I talked about when we were talking about heaven and hell, that God doesn't have to light a fire in hell.
Yeah.
He sends hell into a particular place and it lights its own fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't see that Jesus got to go round everybody up and chase them down. They're going to chase each other down. They're on the verge of killing each other right now.
Yeah.
And so it's just treading the winepress. It's just like it's evil's going to be dealt with. It's just going to be dealt with.
Yep.
And once again, how many chances do you get?
All of them.
All of them.
Yes,
That's
all
exactly
of them.
Right.
And guys, we want to know what you think about it. Comment below and let us know what you think. There's no dumb comment.
No, not at all.
I feel like I've shown that. Surely you've listened long enough to know that I've shown that.
We won't make any more fun of you than we make of ourselves.
That's right.
So
don't tread the winepress. Tread that thumbs up button, that subscribe button.
Hit it again. But we do want to hear from you. We want to, if you think one part's about hell and another part's not about hell, if you think the blood's going to flow down the valley and all this, just tell us. Let's have a conversation. And when you do, let me know what your sources are, and I'll look at them, and we'll all look at them together. And I just promise you, if we get something wrong, I'm going to just say we were wrong.
Yes.
Right.
We did not get that right. We want to get everything as faithful as we possibly can.
We are not above admitting we're wrong.
That's right.
Heck no.
That's right.
My wife admitted she was wrong when she, I told my wife that she needs to embrace her mistakes, and so she walked up and gave me a hug.
Yeah. Good job.
Good one. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week.
All right. See you.